let's get back into the show right now. I think related to the Carolina Panthers next is that as Frank Wright was hired for the Carolina Panthers position, a lot of Panther fans were upset, disappointed, and I know that Steve Wilks himself was disappointed that he didn't get the head coaching job amidst a very admirable kind of final fight by this kind of impromptu general that had to step in, and Steve Wilks that was headed to San Francisco. And you got to be happy for him. This is at least my man is going to a job where there looks like from the outside at this point, we don't know how the roster will transition over the short term, but he's going to a really good team with a very talented defense.
So, Tony, I've said it like this. In the NFL, there are two jobs that I imagine are more coveted than any other job. It's the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, and it's the defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. And if you pay attention to the last 2 years for the 49ers, they have produced two head coaches that have head coaching jobs right now. Robert Saleh with the Jets, then DeMeco Ryans stepped up. Now DeMeco Ryans is the head coach for the Houston Texans. And listen, I'm just happy for him, man. And I've said this, earlier. I would have loved for Steve Wilks to be our head coach. I think Frank Reich was the right move. But, not everybody's religious, but to those, who do believe in God, there's a saying, when God closes one door, he's waiting to open a bigger, better one. And I know that that's what happened for Steve Wilks. There's a bigger and better door opening up in his life. And now he gets the opportunity to, finally have a plethora of different talent to be able to use. That 49er defense is absolutely loaded. And, I think this is going to be his best opportunity, perhaps even better than it was with the Panthers, to finally land that head coaching job in the NFL at some point down the road. I love me some Steve Wilks. I'm so happy for what he did for the Panthers this season, that he got to be a part of that. He made that season more fun for us, Tony. In the years that we've been doing this show, the end of this past season was better than the past 4 years combined of late November Panther football. So I love him. I'm happy for him. And I wish him the best. I think this is the perfect opportunity for him.
He didn't get the job in Carolina, but he cost us a first-round draft pick. If we trade up into the spot that you guys want him to, is Steve Wilks came in here and he made it more expensive for us to trade up by making us relevant, by winning a few games and giving us a little heart and soul at the end. And it does help us. And what I mean by that is, like, man, guys, think before the day before Steve Wilks took over this team, we were talking about this is here we come, number one. Here we come, number one draft pick. And now we're having to talk about trading 3 first-round draft picks to get the number one, which is how have we fallen or have we risen? I don't know. It's like what upside down world you want to look at it from. The other thing, the thing I'm most happy about Steve Wilks getting this job is I'm finally happy that he's going to have a defense that he doesn't have to blitz every down to get pressure. And
Right.
when he was our defensive coordinator, he only did 1 year as our defensive coordinator, and it was a pretty admirable job he did. The defense wasn't as great. We were coming from the 2015 to 2016 season. Coney Ely took over full-time, didn't work out. So he didn't have the pass rush that you had where you kind of had, what was it, Jared Allen, who came in. We traded for him. I think Charles Johnson. Yeah. So you had some talent on that you didn't have in 2016. And I just remember he blitzed at a rate higher than like any coach. All right, like we were just blitzing like crazy, and it was not because he wanted to. He just had to.
I don't even remember a Panthers team that blitzed as much as that team.
Yeah.
We were
But he's now going to get to be a balanced coordinator.
Yeah. I'm happy for Steve, man. I'm happy for Steve. Two things can be true. He did the best job for us that he reasonably could have done, and I think that Frank Reich was the right guy for the job, man. I'm happy for
Particularly if
all
you're talking
parties
about
involved.
trading up and picking a quarterback and this and that, is that you have to think we're a little bit more well positioned to make that decision, not just us being fans on the outside looking at it, but having a quarterback who is a former quarterback who is now your head coach, who is just starting his tenure, who's coming off of kind of that bridge, but not bringing in the young guy to make it a bridge part. We're better suited to make the decision if we should pull the trigger on a quarterback than it now with Frank Reich than we would have been with Steve Wilks.
Yeah. Also, if we're gonna get the quarterback too, I don't mean to backtrack, but trading up in the first year of your head coach's tenure is also kind of a rough thing, right? To then be hamstrung into not having your first round pick after your first year in the NFL. I don't know. That's just kind of tough. But I don't know, man. Like I said,
I think, yeah.
I'm happy for Steve, and I'm excited to see what this new Panthers team is gonna look like, because it feels like on offense and defense, we're finally making changes that are going to be, the first in our history for the Panthers.
All right, what we got next?
So if you're on Twitter like us all the time, you might know that Twitter is for bullshitting, right? Going on there, flying off the seat of your pants, saying whatever you want to. But sometimes as fans, we forget that the Panther players, they go on Twitter too, man, and they see the stuff that people type. So Shaq Thompson, my man was on one. My man was he had time. He had time. He was going after some people that he felt were kind of misrepresenting him, saying that he needed to be cut. He's a cap casualty. And there's a lot of interesting conversation behind this. And, even thinking about what does Shaq Thompson's role look like now with the Carolina Panthers if we do move to a true 3-4 type of defense, and you have Frankie Louvu who's come on, and you have Brandon Smith, and you're probably going to draft another linebacker. Then on top of that, Tony, Shaq Thompson's cap hit is probably going to be around $23 million this year. It's
He's
a lot
expensive,
of
bro.
money, man. So he was going, people were talking shit on Twitter, and then he decided he wanted to speak his mind. And a lot of people were saying that he was wrong for not being at the press conference when they hired Frank Reich.
That's
Well,
what started this, actually, is
right.
someone said that, and I forgot. I didn't get that tweet. But and it's called, I think he's very active in Panthers Twitter. I think it's a dude. I think he has a name. It's called Chubb in a Tub. Uh he ended up apologizing, which is, I think, was nice, his stand up, but you read into everything. He's like the leader, the so-called leader of the team. Now, he does have a point in that, not this, but like he has been the centerpiece of Panthers
Yeah.
leadership, whether he wanted to be or not, over the Rule era. So he
Yeah.
is the guy that's like the tenured vet who has taken a vocal role. But they were like, "Oh, he can't. He won't even at this press conference." So, and he's overpaid. Cut him. That's like where it went. And then he responded to that, and he was like, "I was taking care of." It said something like my women's and sick kids or something. I
Yeah,
was
he
like,
said
"Wow, how
that
many women you got? You got to take care of." It's like
he
that's
said that he
harem,
was taking care of sick women. And hey, man, shout out to him for being a good dad, being a good
right?
man. But it's not okay. This is the thing. It's not unfair, right? Panther fans are going to speak their mind on Twitter, okay? And it's not a shock that he's $23 million against the cap. And then he goes on to say nothing's going to change my mindset. It's a business at the end of the day. No hard feelings. Whether I'm here or not, I'm a root for this team and my brothers. Best believe I'm going to be here. We can work something out. Would you take a pay cut at your job? Now, I don't know about that. You can kind of take that two different ways because those last two sentences are kind of at odds with each other. We can work something out, but would you rather take a pay cut
They're
at
not
your
at odds.
job? I
They're
kind of
not
feel
at
like
odds.
if you can work something out, that means you're willing to do something with your contract.
He wants to restructure. He'll restructure, but that still fucks us, man. Here's the thing. At the end
Yeah,
of the
you're
day, he's
kicking the
just
can down the road.
not overpay. Yeah, his pay, he's well compensated for his production. The Panthers have well compensated him. He does is that contract is heavy on our salary cap right now. And I'm not going to fault my man for making money, right? So I'm not going to say he should take a pay cut. Like, I don't think that's it. Is at the end of the day is we just wish, man, we're 4 years into this contract and it's still this heavy. No way out of it. Like, there's no way out of it. Like, you can't even and then when you restructure, that just adds years.
So then what's the answer here, Tony? Do we cut him? Do we
The
trade
real
him?
ideal thing
What do
would
we
be
do?
to trade. Because somebody brought up this and I looked into the Derek Carr stuff a little bit more. Because I like Derek. I think that would be a good, like, I think even if you got CJ Stroud, you'd still get Derek Carr on a 1-year deal with Frank Wright. You're pretty good this year, and then CJ Stroud takes over next year. That's what I would do. And I don't know if it would work or not. But I was looking at this is that when you trade for Carr, you can't trade for Carr right now. Because when you trade for him, you get the deal that he's on the base salary. They have to pay the guaranteed money, but you get the base. And he's going to get paid his base salary next year is $32 million. And it's like that, that's just start money. It's like, and when you think about it with Shaq, that's the thing is that, like, the only way that we're going to offload that salary and you're still going to eat whatever the guaranteed is to trade him. And then so you have to find another team what team would take on Shaq Thompson? He's
How
not
old is
Shaq
Shaq
Thompson.
now?
I think someone said he was 25. There's no way he can only be 25.
I'm about to look it up.
But the thing is they have to pay whatever that number is. So we're just going to have to pay Shaq. Like, we're in a tough spot. So I think the thing almost to do is just suck it up, pay it this year, and then get the hell out of it the next year.
No, he's 20. He's 28 years old.
Okay.
So listen, a lot of people are saying,
not that old, but he's not that good either. And I hate to say that. That sounds so mean, but he is whelming, bro. He is the official definition of whelming. He's not overwhelming. He's not underwhelming.
He never lived up to what Thomas Davis was able to do at the same position. You can even argue that Frankie Louvu, as an outside linebacker, has been better than Shaq Thompson in certain facets, just because of how aggressive he is, how fast he is. People in the chat room are saying you could re-sign him to an extension to alleviate the cap hit. But I don't know, man. Like, it just seems like right now the ethos is to be young and fast on defense. And I don't know that Shaq Thompson is necessarily either of those things.
I don't know if he, like, how about this do you think he's got to be considered an old 28? He's been playing a lot of football, bro. He's been playing a lot. Yeah. I mean, like, he hasn't been a starter the whole time, but it's not like he's getting faster. And right now, you're not looking at him at 27 years old blowing away people with speed. How's he going to get faster next year? How all of a sudden he's going to get a renaissance at 30 years old? That's not going to it doesn't seem likely for that to happen. Can you have a renaissance when you never had a first birth, right? In that sense. Speaking of Frankie Louvu, now that you bring his name up, he might be the most exciting guy to see what the Ejiro Evero can do with.
Yeah, dude, Louvu's a beast.
Like, that might be the type of player that would work in that transition to where all of a sudden now he's like going to be he could potentially be a household name.
I mean, I want to see what we have in Brandon Smith. And listen, how about this? I feel like Frankie Louvu, based on what he was able to do last year, number 2 in sacks on the team, by the way. I feel like he's more important to the Carolina Panthers right now. And what, he's been on the team 2 years now? Like, you know what I mean? Like Louvu never, I mean, Thompson, in my own opinion, never had that kind of jump.
It's
And
just been
and
okay.
we're not shitting on him. And granted, I even said that when he wore that number 7, I felt like
Yeah,
he
like he
played
got better.
better. Yeah, he
He's
got
had
a
some
little, he
moments.
had
He's
some more
had some
juice.
moments.
Yeah.
I'm also a victim of, like you just want to be right about things. So like I admit that I hold a little grudge to Shaq Thompson because I got so on board with the pick when we made it. And it was like I think it was a 2015 pick or
Yep.
something like that.
We went to the
And
Super
like, I
Bowl.
mean, think about where we were at, you know what I'm saying? We had just 2013. Like I was just feeling good. And it was pitched to me. Shaq Thompson, they talked about Shaq Thompson the way you used to talk about Isaiah Simmons. Right? It's just like, oh, he's so versatile. He could do, like he's
Yeah,
just an
he played like
athlete.
3
He was
different
a
positions.
baseball player. He
Yeah.
was, what I'm saying? Is like all of that. They played him at Buffalo Nickel. So you were so excited about it, bought his jersey before he even played a snap, and it's just been he's been all right.
I love Shaq, but it's time to move on.
Think about these
I'm,
names:
you know,
Ejiro Evero, Frankie Louvu, and let's go get Jimmy Ward. You want to talk about that? That's a 30-year-old safety who I think is could be a big addition at free safety for this defense. That's who I want. That's my go ahead. I'm dropping that name. What else do we got after Shaq Thompson bantering? Not bantering. That's messed up. Oh, ugh. This one got Panther fans riled up today. The Hassan Reddick. Look, somebody said this in the chat. Tony, that's the first good thing you said. Dang, we've been on air for an hour and 15 minutes. I finally said something good.
yeah, it's
Hassan
about time.
Reddick. How about this? Hassan Reddick, this is fun about the Super Bowl is you get so many stories. They spend so much time with the media and you get so many kind of they open up a little bit about some different things. Hassan Reddick was asked about his exit from Carolina and joining the Philadelphia Eagles as a free agent, and he said, you want to play the video?
Yep, yep,
Yeah, I
yep.
think that'll be fair. I'll let you guys draw your conclusions about this, and we'll argue about it.
After your success in Carolina, what made you want to test the free agency market again? After your success in Carolina, what made you want to test the free agency market?
It wasn't that I wanted to test free agency. Carolina just had other plans and other directions that they wanted to go through.
So what do you make
Um,
of that? He
what do I
didn't want
make
to
of it?
test. He didn't want to test free agency, but the Panthers had
No,
other directions that they
no,
wanted
I don't think
to
that
go.
is how I read it at all. Like when he said he didn't want to test free agency, he didn't mean that he didn't mean like, oh, I cared about I was opposed to uh of testing free agency. I was wanting to stay in Carolina. I think he's just announcing this is he didn't say, oh, I want out. Like he didn't write the Carolina Panthers off as a potential suitor in free agency. He was hitting free agency regardless. And what I'm just saying is this is I think he's trying to position himself as I didn't say no to the date. Like it wasn't like he was like, I don't want to be in Carolina. I think that's what he meant there.
I mean, no. Wait. Say that last part one more time.
That he just like his whole I think all he's saying here is never said I didn't want to be in Carolina. That's all I think he's saying is like I never said that. It was like it wasn't off the table, but they wanted me less. They didn't want me enough. That's all I would say.
God of Blackness says he wanted to stay, but Brian Burns fire. By the way, David Screws also donated. Said let's go Super Bowl staff with the $2. Thank you, David. No, I have a problem with this, Tony. You and I are gonna have to be at odds once
Okay.
more. No, I think this is dumb. I think it was dumb that we decided to, one, let this man go, and then number two, sign Dante Jackson over Stephon Gilmore. And I was really happy with the Dante Jackson signing when it happened, but I think those were two high-end veterans, and especially Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick was playing his best ball the past 2 years. He was our primary pass rusher. He was snubbed for the Pro Bowl. Did y'all remember that? Hassan Reddick, damn
But
it,
he had
could
more
have went
sacks
to
than
the
Brian
Pro
Burns,
Bowl.
and I think did Brian
Yeah,
Burns make it last year?
he made the Pro Bowl. So that's
Yeah.
my point. You don't just let go, in my opinion, of players that want to be a part of your organization. And to me, this goes back. Remember when Matt Rule said, "Oh, I thought it was a 4-year plan, a 5-year plan."
Oh
You know,
yeah, that
I would have,
dummy.
I would have signed more free agents if I would have known. Oh no, you only have 1 or 2 years. So in my mind, this is just our dumb fuck organization led by an absolute clown in Matt Rule that let two of the more talented people on the roster walk out of the door. It's insanity, man. That Eagles defense is loaded from top to bottom. And you can make the argument Hassan Reddick is the best player on their defense.
You didn't
The team's
disagree
a
with me
ball.
one bit, Cody.
Yeah,
You
I
didn't
believe he
disagree. I'm not.
wanted. I
You're
think
not
he
disagreeing
wanted
with me.
to be here, and the organization forced him out.
I don't think that Hassan Reddick wanted to be anywhere where the best deal wasn't. He just came off of 12 seasons. Like, is that he might? I don't care how much I want to be in Carolina if I'm him. If they ain't paying me what the Eagles can pay, then I ain't gonna be there. And I think that's just what he's saying. Is that it's not that I didn't want to be with the Carolina Panthers. They made their priorities, and I wasn't one of them.
And we're wrong
I
for
don't
that, don't you think?
and yeah, I think this is well, I don't know. It's kind of hard. It's easy to say this.
The fact
Yes,
that we're paying Shaq and Dante
well,
instead of
we
him
already were
makes it
paying
hard.
Shaq. Like that one doesn't get a count. I will agree with the Dante. On an even scale, would we be better with Hassan Reddick or not? The answer is yes, clearly. Right. But the idea is how much would you have to make him a priority to have actually gotten him last year? How would that have affected your ability to maybe pursue Austin Corbett? How would it have affected your ability to go after who was the other one we did? Didn't we get 2 linemen in free agency? Corbett and
Yeah, Corbin
Bozeman. Yeah,
Bozeman.
and so like I mean, yes, and on paper, like just yes or no, I thought Reddick. I was a huge Reddick fan last year. I loved him. He's like the most exciting thing about the team last year in so many ways. So yeah, I would want him. Now, I tell you this is would we be a better team right now if we had him for the next 2 years and can you find a way to keep Burns? That tandem could be real good. Like that defense would be a lot further ahead too if we had him.
Yeah, man. I mean,
It
every time I
sucks.
see him ball out, it hurts me on the inside, man. It really
Dante
does.
was a risk. Is he was cheaper than Stephon Gilmore.
Shorter and more injury prone.
Right, but he's more risky because of he hasn't played a full season
Right.
since his like rookie year. So you tried to hope that he was going to be healthy and get a deal that was 2 or a year longer, year and a half, 2 years longer than if you would have gotten Gilmore. Right, you would have paid just as much with Gilmore on shorter time span. I mean, it was risky. This is the thing is you almost, and I've kind of learned this with fantasy football, is you don't want to bet too much on somebody coming off of injuries. It's not that it doesn't happen. It's not that they can't be good, but a lot of times it takes a year longer than you want it to take. And betting on somebody that's coming off an injury, Dante was coming off an injury the year before. It's just risky. It's like paying Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. And ultimately, kind of what God of Blackness is saying here, with another $5 love bomb. Basically, it was between Brian Burns and Hassan Reddick. And to having to be paying both of those guys, they felt that was a bridge too far. But
what if we don't pay Brian Burns though? Imagine that. That's assuming we actually pay Brian Burns. How about this though? Is if you had to choose between one or the other, is like what is a better defensive player to build around? Is Brian Burns easier to build around, and is Reddick a good player, or like a great player on a good defense and a good player on an okay defense? Because you have to remember too, there's like 7. Their defense is fucking incredibly talented.
Well, also, how about this?
It's not just him out there wrecking. They had 70 sacks this year.
But listen, but this is how I can counteract that. His final year with the Cardinals, he had 10 plus sacks. Then it comes to the Panthers, has 10 plus sacks. Then it goes to Philadelphia, and he has 15 sacks. It seems like no matter what team you put him on, Hassan Reddick is a productive pass rusher, man. I'm telling you, my man looks like a baby Von Miller. He has that kind of athleticism, dude. And it's just so tough knowing that we let that kind of player walk out of the door, man. It's just tough.
It does. It sucks. I'm just excited to see him. Like, this is the type of defense he can fucking eat in, bro.
Yeah,
look,
I know.
They have 3 players in the secondary, and Bradbury, Darius Slay, and now the whatever Chauncey Gardner, whichever I'm all getting confused with Sauce, who's from
Chauncey Gardner Johnson.
Yeah, Chauncey, he is a good player. That wouldn't be a terrible addition to the Carolina Panthers either. I mean, we're looking at free agency coming. He's hitting free agency, but that secondary allows them more time up front to get the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right. They have big boys in the middle. That's a type of defense that Hassan Reddick can just fucking go bananas in. But if you put him in our defense this year, he wouldn't have had 17 sacks. I mean, he would have had. He could have had 13. No, I mean, it's just like I feel like that's the perfect spot. It's just he's such a compliment to where they are right now.
Yeah,
it almost is like I'm rooting for him to be in that defense instead of seeing him waste away on a Carolina Panthers.
Every single defense that he's on, no matter the talent around him, he ends up becoming the primary pass rusher on the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think that there's anything to him being a complimentary piece. I think he is a premier pass rusher in the NFL. And I think God Blackness is right. The more the Panthers continue to look at the books, having 2 highly paid defensive ends, it was probably just too rich for them. And I don't know. We made a mistake. One of the things that I said earlier, Tony, Fitterer, his job has never been more important than right now. We can't have any more of the Panthers paying for players who don't put up the very highest level of productions. No more paying these middle of the pack players that are either hurt every year or they're good, but they're not necessarily elite level players. Like, no, it's time to step our shit up and pay the very best of the best. And right
just
now,
don't sign
I
deals
hold that
too long.
against Fitterer.
Just don't sign deals that are too long.
Yeah.